another big issue for all of the mayors regionally is housing, and you've alluded it in your remarks. Michael certainly talked about it. I've been doing a lot of writing lately about reforming zoning codes and building codes as well, but it's causing a lot of consternation because a lot of people don't like to see their neighborhoods change, and they may not want to live next to somebody who doesn't make the same income as they do. So how do we change that conversation and do something? Because otherwise we'll be in this cycle again of talking about affordable housing down the line. Why don't I start with Mayor Pitts and then come back around?
Well, it's interesting. Every month when the city council meets, we have developers, builders, citizens come and they want to rezone their property and build housing. And the throwaway phrase they use, we want to build affordable housing. And then the follow-up question is, well, affordable to whom? Who's going to be able to afford it? So they've kind of changed their approach because we've caught on to it. But I've long said there's only one real thing that the city can do to impact housing, and that's the inventory. We have to issue building permits as quickly and safely and efficiently as we can. It's up to the private sector to help us invest in affordable, attainable housing. Right now in Clarksville, they don't have to because everything they build is sold or rented. So there's really no incentive that we could throw out there short of giving them money, but then there's clawback provisions or strings we attach to that money that they're not interested in because they don't need it. So we're very concerned about the median price of homes in Clarksville is $300,000. And, I grew up there. Goodness gracious, $300,000 when I was a kid would have bought you, 150 acres plus a house and a river. But we've got to all kind of come to the table, but the private sector has to play a big part in that. They're the ones that really drive the construction industry in our community. 47 to 48% of our jobs come from that particular industry, not direct, but indirect as well.
Thank you. Mayor Brown?
I struggle with it because I don't know. I guess I feel sorry for people too, but I don't see a path to prosperity for the average income in Tennessee, and that was one of the things that was so appealing for so many people for a long time. It's very difficult to afford housing here and to be able to save money so that you can actually grow wealth in your home. I don't know. I think one of the disconnects that we're seeing the most of is within our developments. I find a development that's dense with a lot of preserved green space very appealing. The neighbors just look at the density and then they want to gauge that that's a horrible place to live. And so, again, I keep going back to, families are changing, lifestyles are changing, housing options have changed substantially since since I was buying my last home. And the general population doesn't, I don't blame them. They don't need to think about it. They just, they can just sound off about what they don't like. But trying to preserve that green space, preserve your character, have safe houses that are affordable, that's just a whole bunch of things that aren't congruent. And I appreciate what you said about the affordability, or we're using the word attainable now because, frankly, nothing's really affordable, but to attain. To make a point about what I was saying about the general population, one of my favorite things, and I hear it way more frequently than anybody with a basic economics understanding would probably believe, is we don't need more houses here. We just need the ones here to be more affordable. And I'm like, it doesn't work that way. It's very much about supply and demand. And I think that's the thing that I wish the media were communicating more frequently. We've had several stories, not so much by your publication, but by some of the Nashville television stations about all these mad residents because there's a development going in next to them. And I've talked to them and said, well, where are your stories about what the growth in the region is demanding? Because we can stop building, but people are going to keep moving here, and everybody that's from here is going to be forced out. So.
Thank you. Mayor Moore?
Well, we have struggled with this issue in our community. Our Franklin Housing Authority is doing a good job of affordable housing because they've got a lot of land that they can redevelop, and we've been able to help them with some incentives and sewer and water taps and money to do their projects. Our big challenge is workforce housing. I think we don't have any tools anymore. As I mentioned, the legislature's taken those away. So somehow or other, we need to incentivize our builders to build neighborhoods like they used to build. Every neighborhood didn't look like $1 million homes. You had interspersed in there many different price ranges of homes, and I'd love to see them go back to that. But I think there has to be a shift in the mindset of our builders and developers as far as the type of product that they're putting in. You know, our community is not afraid of density. We believe that that's a cheaper way to get infrastructure. Is the more density you have, then you know, you don't have to build as much infrastructure. You look at communities that have big lots, and it's, you know, a long distance from one house to the next. It's very expensive to put that type of infrastructure in. So we continue to struggle with it. We have a housing authority, a housing commission that's been studying this and bringing recommendations, but it's been a really hard uphill climb for us.